Hello, I'm Debbie Goddard from the Community Support Network at WIHD, where I'm a family educator. Today with me is Tasha Wright from the Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES here in New York, where she is a special education trainer and specialist. I invited Tasha today to meet with me so we can talk about parent member. In this time where families are getting ready for annual reviews, I thought this was a great opportunity to talk a little bit about the role of the parent member and how they can help in the CSE process and in the meetings and as a member of the committee. So Tasha, can you tell me a little bit about, what a parent member is and what their role is?
Okay, so a parent member is a parent of a child with a disability who can provide really valuable information and support for another parent of a child with a disability during their CPSE or CSE Committee on Special Education meetings. This role is filled by someone who resides in the school district, again, and who also has a child really ideally close in age to the parent member the parent that they're supporting. And is trained by the district in order to support the parents in their needs. So really the parent member is there to help facilitate understanding for the parent, to facilitate the discussion between the district, the parent, other CSE members. And so really there's an emotional piece, right? Coming into that meeting sometimes.
Yeah, no, I can talk about that. I'm now, a parent of a 25-year-old son with autism, and I remember that first meeting, just how emotional and traumatized and upset I was. And I walked out of there feeling like I didn't get what I needed out of it because I was so overcome that I probably didn't hear half of what they said. And just having that person next to me to sort of process that meeting and be able to say after, this is what happened there, would have been a really great thing for me. So I wish you almost needed a second meeting to find out what happened in the first meeting.
Find out what happened in the first, right? I mean, I wish parents were more aware that they can request to have a parent member, as long as they request 72 hours before the meeting in writing, right? So it has to be in writing, but 72 hours prior to the meeting, if they request, they can have a parent member sitting on the meeting to support them. And everything in the meeting is confidential. The parent members are trained, and whatever takes place during that meeting is really just in support of that parent, right? To clarify any possible misunderstandings, to really ensure that the parent understands recommendations, understand the CSE process itself, which can be very overwhelming and confusing, and to really just be that neutral support, because though the parent member is trained by the district, or there's some type of training that happens, they're not employed by the district, right? And so again, just having this neutral voice between the district and the parent can be a great help for both sides, really.
Can you talk a little bit about what kind of training the member has to go through in order to be in that role?
Right, so the parent member, the district will have training in which they really learn soft skills, right? There's some people skills involved in that training, and helping the parent to understand, well, the parent member to facilitate skills needed for the parent to get their concerns across, right? And a skillful way. But also really the parent member training also provides that background on what the parent member is and what it's not. For example, parent member is not an advocate, right? So it's important to note that sometimes parent member can be thought of as someone who's going to encourage the parent to take an action or not, but that's really not the role of a parent member. The parent member's role really is more of a facilitator and support and a resource for parents, right? They're not an expert on everything at the table, but having been through the process themselves with their child and having to now serve as a parent member, they're going through the process and really they are able to kind of wear two hats and see things from two different perspectives, which can help support the parent that they're supporting with their understanding of just the whole process itself, which can be very daunting.
And I guess if they've had the opportunity to meet with that parent beforehand, the parent could have talked a little bit about what their concerns are, and once they're in that meeting, if that parent failed to bring up those concerns just because they might have forgotten, right, that would be a good place for a parent member to step in and said, I remember we had talked a little bit about this. Do you want to further it with the committee and see what their insights and feedback is to that?
Right. So ideally, if the parent and the parent member could have time before the meeting, that would be amazing, because then and there, things that parents or you might be concerned about expressing at a meeting, or you may have hesitations, you can have that conversation right before the meeting. And then if the parent wants, that parent member can help bring that information out in a skillful way. Again, so they're trained into being able to bring up the parents' concerns and be able to do that in a neutral manner. Right,
in a neutral way. I mean, and also just sort of maybe having the committee rephrase something, The parent might be sitting there with a very quizzical look on their face because they didn't quite understand what somebody on the committee was saying. So as a parent member, you can easily ask them to maybe rephrase it or explain a little bit better what they are saying, and that would really help the parent to understand exactly what is being presented to them.
Right, that's a really important skill set, to be able to kind of like read what's happening as a parent member, and to really read body language, kind of to say I can tell this might be a time for me to step in and get some clarifications across. Absolutely.
Yeah, because parents come into those meetings sort of almost kind of deciding, what they know their children need, and because of course they are the parents, and to some degree they do know what their students need, but unfortunately sometimes what the student need is not what is mandated by law, and it may not be available for the school to give it to them. So the parent member sort of acting as a bridge and saying, yeah, I hear you. That very well might be some of the things that your son or daughter need, but unfortunately, it does not meet the mandate of the state, which is to provide an appropriate education. So how do you help the parent to understand that, and how do you help the committee to kind of share that with the parent in a way that doesn't end up in an adversarial relationship? And that's kind of one of the roles that a parent member can serve.
So it's important that whatever the student needs, that the district is able to figure out a way to provide that for the student. But the parent member can, how should I say this? The parent member is just really there. They are knowledgeable. They might not be experts, but they're knowledgeable about the resources in the district. They are there to ensure that parents' voices are heard, though, because parents do have valuable information to bring to the committee. They are a part of that committee. So again, that's part of the role of the parent member is to get the parent to understand it's not others making the decision for your child. You are a part of that committee as well. So to really get the parent's perspective so that the committee can come to consensus on what the child needs and what's best for the child, so that the district can provide that.
Yes, consensus is very important, because as a collective, you're all working for the good of that child. So we want to walk out of there thinking that, yes, my son's needs are going to be met, and here is an amazing team that's going to help us to get to the next level. I know we're talking about this during the coronavirus, and so families and parents and children and everybody are at home right now, and school is going on to some degree. Via annual reviews are happening, and some districts are doing it via telephone, some are doing it through the computer, and so it's a very different meeting than it would normally be in a school building, where you're sitting across from a table and you're talking and you're throwing ideas back and forth, and everybody who is involved with your child to some degree is represented at this table. I mean, now we're really doing it by yourself on the phone with the committee at the other end. How can a parent member still be part of this process?
So different districts have different processes for how to go about getting a parent member, but districts have a list of available parent members, which again, in writing, if requested, the parent requested 72 hours in advance, they can have a parent member present. Parents should also know that if the district does not have a parent member available at the time, that they can reschedule the meeting. Because as you stated, Debbie, right now with virtual meetings happening, this is a new challenge and a different challenge for us. And so that parent member could really be vital right now, because we don't have the face-to-face and the personal connections in the room. But doing the meetings through technology, the parent member can really they can help support that process and facilitating. Just, these are the people, these are the committee members, and just having that face-to-face and supporting the parents that way.
Okay. So thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tasha, for sharing all this really pertinent information at this time where it could be most valuable. Again, I'm Debbie Goddard from the Community Support Network at WIHD in New York. Please call us, reach out via email if you have any further questions or concerns, and we will try our best to answer it. And if not, we know the expert, Ms. Tasha Wright, right, from the Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES, who can answer any further questions that you have. Thank you so much, Tasha.
All right, thank you. Bye.